Before we get into it, let me say something I've said before, but it's worth repeating. We don't get much innovation in the airbrush world. New models are rare. Real improvements are even more rare. Most of the time when something new comes out, it's just a slightly tweaked version of the same old thing, or another rebranded Chinese copy with a new name slapped on it. So when a new company shows up and actually tries to do something different, I pay attention. Yes, Gaahleri is a Chinese brand. Yes, their airbrushes are made in China, but to me, it really looks like they're trying to compete with the big names. Their premium models aren't just repackaged clones, they're original. They feel like someone actually designed them from the ground up to work well and to look good, not just cheap. And that gets me excited, because I want to see airbrushing move forward. I want to see companies trying new things, pushing boundaries, giving us real choices, and only competition can make that happen. So when I say I'm interested in what Gaahleri is doing, it's because they're trying, and that's worth paying attention to. Let's begin, shall we? Also, let me make something very clear. I do not work with Gaahleri. I didn't receive a free airbrush. Nobody tried to buy this review. And honestly, there would be no point in trying. Even before I started this YouTube channel, I already own every single gravity-fed airbrush Gaahleri sells. I've been using the Mobius II for a few months now, as I mentioned it before in a previous tutorial. Since then, I've been waiting for the right moment to talk about it more in depth. And the moment is now. I'm just going to say it. I love this airbrush. My overall judgment of an airbrush comes down to one thing: how easily it lets me achieve detail. Can I stay within the shape of the model without overspraying? Can I focus on aim rather than control? With the Mobius, the answer is yes, every single time. Let's talk specs, and let's get into the spaghetti score, shall we? Number 1. Build quality. Let's clear this up first. Yes, there have been legitimate complaints about Gaahleri airbrushes in the past. Experts I trust and respect have tested the Mobius, showing multiple poorly machined nozzles and generally questionable quality control. I have seen the pictures, I believe them, and it's unforgivable. But here's the thing. All my Gaahleri airbrushes were purchased within the last 8 months. I bought every gravity feed model they make, including 2 additional Mobius II just for this review. And what I received is nothing like what's shown in those older reviews. Let me show you something. The nozzles you're seeing on screen right now are all from well-known, reliable brands, and every single one of them costs more than the Mobius. Some are machined better than others, sure, but they all work. They all function as they should. Nothing shocking there. Eventually, I'm going to review everything that is hanging on the wall. And when I do, I'll show detailed close-ups of every nozzle in my collection. But let me give you a preview. When it comes to machining quality, nozzle centering, and symmetry, this is as good as it gets. Well, what if I just got lucky? Well, let's look at other Gaahleri airbrushes in my possession, shall we? As you can see, the machining on every Mobius nozzle and other models I own is absolutely clean. Perfectly shaped, even, and dead-centered inside the air cap center hole. Is that enough? I hope it is, because I'm definitely not going to buy any more of this just to find one that is imperfect. The inside of the gravity cap is mirror-like and hasn't dulled one bit, still shiny. Unlike the caps of Iwatas, they start fading as soon as you rub cleaner through them. Whoa, relax. I'm not claiming that the water quality is bad by any means, but when it comes to the cup, the chrome of every watt I own started fading on day one, and that's just a fact. The body feels premium, the threads are clean, nothing rattles. The needle itself is sturdy and polished. There are no air leaks on the head assembly. This is a solid, beautifully built airbrush. However, you have seen how many airbrushes I have. And while I've used this airbrush more than most in the past few months, I'm never going to work with it for an extended period of time. Therefore, I don't know if this airbrush will last 20 years. I have friends that have been putting the Mobius under heavy use for a while now, and they have no complaints. It's still a very new airbrush, but it definitely looks promising. Taking all this in consideration, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Number 2. Aesthetics. I'll be honest, I find the Mobius gorgeous. The proportions are spot on. The body is sleek, the chrome finish is deep and reflective. The whole thing just looks professional. It's clean, modern and balanced. I don't care much for the mag valve, but I do like how it looks on an airbrush. It's like a magazine on a rifle. Well, this is still spaghetti miniatures. The unique shape of the handle does its part too. That slight sculpting gives the Mobius a distinctive silhouette that adds to its overall appeal. This is what the Mobius looks like with the micro cup that can be purchased on the company website. That's the cup I personally use with the Mobius most of the time, and honestly, I think it looks amazing. The airbrush with the micro cup just has a sleek, perfectly balanced look that makes it even more visually appealing. It's also perfect for me, because it holds exactly the amount of paint I typically use with an airbrush. I really wish more airbrushes offered a similar option. It's that practical. 9 out of 10. Number 3. Ergonomics. Very comfortable, no complaints. The Mobius is perfectly balanced. The cup doesn't get in the way, and the trigger has a light but deliberate feel. In fact, the trigger is so soft and smooth, it almost reminds me of a GSI Creo style trigger. The same gentle touch that makes long sessions feels effortless. The spiral shape of the handle, it actually plays a big role in comfort. With most cutaway handles, I can feel the internal components, like the needle chucking nut, and after a while, those rough edges start to bother me, and it just isn't comfortable during long sessions. But here, the spiral design prevents my skin from resting directly against those components. So I get the same level of comfort as if the handle weren't cut away at all. It's a really smart design detail that makes a difference. 9 out of 10. Number 4. Spray control. I think it's excellent. Once the Mobius begins spraying, the paint flows is gentle, consistent, and easy to control, even with non-ideal dilution. I can comfortably use it without masking and still stay inside tight shapes. Whether I'm glazing, sketching, or filling a small area, I feel in control. I don't need to overthink it. It is no micron level, but it does exactly what I want it to do. 9 out of 10. Number 5. Trigger response. This is going to be difficult to put into words, but I'll do the best I can. When I pull the trigger, I feel just a little bit of free play, light and smooth, before I hit a gentle wall. Right at that point, the Mobius starts releasing paint. It's not abrupt, it's subtle, like easing into the first gear. The paint initiation always happens at the same point, and it's always the same amount of paint, no more, no less. No unexpected blast, no skipping, just a soft, perfectly measured start. That level of predictability is unique. It doesn't remind me or behave like anything else I have. It almost feels like the airbrush is helping me initiating that paint, like it's calibrated to anticipate what I want to do. And that's why I can focus more on where I'm aiming and less on how much I'm pulling. It's just intuitive. Definitely not the fastest airbrush in the West, but in this case, it's not a limitation. Taking all this in consideration, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Number 6. Automization. Okay, this is the category where I actually have some issues with the Mobius O2. It's not bad by any means. I usually spray around 12 to 15 psi, and the Mobius performs well enough, but it's not premium. If we are comparing it to something like a Sotor, a Micron, or an Infinity, you can tell the difference. The paint doesn't atomize quite as finely or as softly at low pressure, and here is why. Let's look at the Mobius O2 nozzle under the microscope. The size of the bore is exactly the same as the one on the Mobius O3. The only difference is that the air channels around the nozzles are smaller. And if you look at the air cap, the center hole is also tighter. That design change was clearly done to reduce air velocity, which is a step in the right direction if you're trying to make the O2 more detail-oriented than the O3. But here's the issue. They kept the same needle from the Mobius O3 in the Mobius O2. And because of that, atomization at 12-15 psi just isn't what it could be. If you're going to reduce air velocity, you also need the right needle specs, a finer, more tapered needle design that handle the lower air velocity and still break the paint up softly. So, let's upgrade the Mobius O2. The Mobius nozzle bore measures 0.37 mm. I can only think of one airbrush with those measurements that also run a similar lower air velocity. Ta-da! The Iwata Custom Micron. I took the needle from my Iwata Custom Micron, popped it into the Mobius O2, and the results were night and day. Let me show you what this actually looks like. I'm drawing fine line using the Mobius O2 with the stock needle, and then the same lines with the micron needle swapped in. Same paint, same pressure, same distance. And the difference is obvious. The lines with the micron needle are cleaner, softer, more precise, tighter, and more stable. It just looks more refined overall. And it's not just about fine lines. By simply spraying from a distance and side by side, the difference is obvious. The stock needle gave me a more grainy, uneven texture with a rougher edge. But with the micro needle, the paint landed more in a soft, cloudy, beautifully atomized mist, way smoother, way more refined. And here is the important part. Everything else about the Mobius stayed the same. That silky, predictable paint initiation, the control, the feel, the consistency, all still there. It doesn't sacrifice anything, but it unlocks the full potential of this airbrush. I really hope the company will make this small improvement, which doesn't change the nature of the brush itself, but improves upon it. Disclaimer: please do not buy a micro needle for the Mobius. The shaft is not a match, and because of that, the puckering screw will leak. This is just an example to demonstrate the kind of impact that the shape of the needle can have on performance. I mean, you'll just have to tweak the packing to seal the needle. Taking all this in consideration, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Number 7. Versatility. I wouldn't reach for the Mobius if I had to base coat an army of tanks. But within its detail-focused design, it handles a wide range of tasks, from sketch-style painting to transparent layers, and even small-scale base coating with slightly thicker paint. If you're careful with PSI and dilution, it does the job. And more than that, it does it well. 7 out of 10. Number 8. Precision reach. Just like with atomization, this is where the Mobius O2 has a bit of a weak spot, and for the same exact reason. Because the needle isn't the right spec for the rest of the setup, it doesn't just affect automization, it affects how well the airbrush can hold a tight spray pattern at a distance. To a certain extent, the Mobius doesn't keep a very tight spray column compared to airbrushes like the Soter, Infinity or Micron. It starts to diffuse just a bit too early for my liking. It's fine if you're working up close, but as soon as you try to hold a tight line from a bit farther away, you start losing that precision. But just like with automization, once you change the needle specs, the performance improves dramatically. The spray pattern becomes much tighter, cleaner and more defined, even from a distance. The floating halo around the edges is gone and the line holds its shape the way it should. Taking all this in consideration, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Number 9. Price to performance ratio. In the United States, the Mobius O2 can be bought for around $70. This is an absolutely crazy low price for what you get. But I do not think it's the best detail airbrush you can buy for that price. Close to best? Absolutely. But if you want to know which one I think is the best, you'll just have to subscribe and see what happens. 9 out of 10. Number 10. Is it good for beginners? I think it is, I really do. Because it's very user-friendly, very easy to use, and putting it back together is simple. There are no tiny or awkward parts you have to worry about. The nozzle head system is similar to what you see with other steam bag. Very easy overall to clean, disassemble and maintain. And because of what I talked about earlier, the trigger response and how it seems to assist you, I think it makes a wonderful airbrush to start with. Combined with the fact that it's sold at a very accessible price, it's hard not to recommend it for beginners. And here is one more thing that matters for new users: customer service. They have a chat system on their website and they're very responsive. They'll take care of anything without too many questions asked. And before someone says, well, if you didn't have any issue, why did you reach out to customer service? I'll tell you, I didn't reach out because I had problems. I reached out because I wanted to buy more stuff. Stuff they don't sell separately on their website. And they took care of me. 9 out of 10. Let's bring it all together and the Mobius O2 gets a spaghetti score of 85 out of 100. That makes the Mobius the highest scoring airbrush I've reviewed on this channel so far, and for good reason. I love using it. It lets me paint exactly how I want without getting in the way. And I'm excited to see what the company is going to come up in the future. Let me know your thoughts on the comments, and if there is another airbrush you would like me to take a look at. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like and subscribe, and join me in the pursuit to become the fastest airbrush slinger in the West. Hey!